But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Ginger Tea drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it's another Tuesday right here on Good Morning Uganda, where we're coming to you live from UBC Studios. Well, thank you for joining us as early as this morning. It's quite a cold one, but we'll survive. We'll sail through. We'll definitely be okay. It is the 15th day of March 2022. And of course, it's just not any ordinary day. Today is World Consumers' Rights Day. Now, did you know that you as a consumer, you have rights? You have certain complaints that you're allowed to make, especially if you feel that you're not happy, if you're not comfortable with the standard of products that you consume. What are some of those products that you consume on a daily? Are you happy with them? Do you feel like there is some work that is needed to be done to make sure that you are satisfied 100%? Well, today is that day when we get to celebrate you and also to inform you and also educate you about the powers you have as a consumer, because in any business chain, in any supply chain, they cannot survive without a consumer, because you play a big role in this chain. And today is going to be all about you. My name is Philomena. Mastiko. We'll be talking more about World Consumers' Rights Day today. But of course, even then, among many other stories that have been coming to light, since yesterday, since the last time we saw each other. And of course, I am with the usual suspects, a full house right here with Mollen, Kenyena, and Robert Kirabo. Maybe I also need to know if they're consumers, if they consume some of those things they consume on a daily that they feel they cannot live without. Good morning, Mollen.
Yes, a very good morning to you. Good morning to you, our family. That is Good Morning Uganda. Thank you for waking up with us. Well, when we're talking about Consumers Day, for me right now, my mind goes directly to the crazy prices that have hiked.
Yes.
And you wonder, because most of the products, even when they are made here in Uganda, still they're also getting the effect of prices going up. Because you look at soap and cooking oil, because these are the ones that are top on that.
Some of the most frequently
yeah, they are
used
locally
products.
made. Most of them are locally made. So are we going to blame that on the war in Ukraine and Russia? So I think that even while we're talking about Consumers Day, we should also look at even with the supply chain, where are the gaps? Why are they hiking every price?
Yes.
Now I'm happy that there is a parliamentary caucus, that is the NRM. They are meeting, and one of the things they are going to discuss is what is happening with our prices. And I hope they get to the bottom of that and we can, address this, because I feel like it has been exaggerated by, the manufacturers.
And people are actually trying to capitalize on the fact that there's been a slight increase in some of these commodities.
Exactly.
And like businessmen and women, everybody wants to quite have a bigger share of the money that will come out of it. So they're going to really capitalize on that. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Philo.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. I'm lovely.
And
I'm not complaining.
I hope our viewers are also fine and good they've woken up with us. Really appreciate you every weekday, every morning. You're with us here on Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much for making us a TV of your choice. Now, Philo, for me, when you talk about consumer rights, it brings me to one thing, and I know many people that have traveled. There is one thing that you only find unique of Uganda.
Yes.
That is why you go to buy something and then they give you a receipt that has goods once sold are not returnable. So that means, yes, because most of the things sold, for example, electric appliances, should have guarantee.
Yes.
That in case you take this product, use it, and it's not performing to your expectations,
yes,
then you return it. This is what happens in the United Kingdom, in USA, in a number of African countries. But here you buy something, then you go back, it has a fault, and they tell you check your receipt. and then they'll show you that what goods once sold are not returnable.
You see, the worry especially that comes in from the people who deal in selling these products. They fear that quite a number of Ugandans, because I've also raised a complaint about that. Why do we have a disclaimer on most of the products? It's just a few specific products where you have a guarantee of about maybe 12 months or a year or two.
Yeah.
But they will tell you, these businessmen and women, Ugandans, you cannot trust them. They'll probably take your product when it's in a very good condition, in a very good working state, but anything happens between then, or probably they're very reckless with these products. They feel because they have the guarantee, they can return them and get new products. So I think that is like the biggest worry from these businessmen.
Yeah,
Then
but also you look
also
into
happens when you go to maybe a supermarket.
Yes.
You go to a fuel station that has a supermarket. You go to an arcade, you go to a mall, and guess what you find in their parking lot? Parking at owner's risk.
The disclaimer is outright and very bold.
So I come to have a meal with my family, I leave your car in your parking lot, clearly with a guard, but then you're telling me parking at owner's risk. So how is this consumer, those two incidents that we've tolerated in Uganda, I think they are violating rights of consumers over and over.
You guys, there's one thing that bothers me. For me, even when we're talking about when they say goods once sold are not refundable or returnable, you take a product, and even when they realize that it's actually faulty, guess what their next option is? They will tell you to exchange with the available products. You're like, I am already biased about this product and it's already faulty, so how am I going to be sure that this will work for me? Because they won't refund. Even when it's their responsibility and they see that it's faulty, they will want for you to exchange. Now, what if I want my money back and I don't want to exchange, I'm no longer interested in your products? That is the one thing that, you know, manufacturers should put as a guarantee, even when they sell out, so that if I want to, you know, I'm done with this product, I should be able to get my money back and go get, you know, some other brand. But these guys will you either exchange or it's a loss for you.
And then
they cannot give you your money. They can give you back the money because they feel that's a very huge loss for them.
Mollen, you're lucky if at all they accept to exchange. But I've witnessed in one place where they sell electronics, that is Chiembe.
Yes.
They'll tell you, okay, now top up what you took, like 20K, you know, maybe 30.
Then we can give you a better product.
Then we can give you, and you wonder, hey, it
But
is simple as, because what happens when you go to these stores I'm talking about, you bring back the product, then they will look at it, then they will tell you, okay, let's give you another one. But here, they'll simply tell you, top up all, the person will confidently tell you, let me look at your receipt, oh, read this properly. Once we've sold, we cannot read.
That is when they know they actually don't have, you know, an option. But, you know, I've experienced this. Like, you go buy shoes and, you know, they tell you exactly, you know, if the size doesn't fit. For example, you're buying for, you know, kids at home and you didn't move with them. Like, it doesn't fit, just bring it back. We'll be happy to, you know, exchange it or give you your money back. But once you return that shoe, I'm telling you, it's going to be trouble. At that point, they don't know you. You will either take another size that even when they don't find it, they'll be like, you know what, let's give you something else. And at that point, it's not even worth the price. Now, but you just have to silently suffer and take this other, you know, size.
But you know, my biggest issue right now is, especially when it comes to these people who sell these things to us. Of course, we know Uganda as a market has quite different types of products, high quality, low quality, substandard products. They're all there on the market. Now, there are certain shops you will go to and they will be very honest with you, by the way. They'll tell you, you know what, I am selling you probably this pair of shoes, or I'm selling you this computer or this laptop, but the quality is not exactly up to standard. However, if you're looking for top-notch quality, well, we also have a provision for that. We can give it to you at this amount of money. Now, those I am absolutely fine with. But the problem comes in with the people who are going to just give you these fraudulent products and they sell them to you at a very, very disturbing, and I repeat that, very disturbing price, very high quality, rather high amount of money charged for a very, very fake product. That right there is where I will lose a wire. I will cut a wire. Just be honest and tell me, so that I need to know what I'm purchasing. I need to know if I'm taking a second-hand product, I'm good. my expectations are a bit manageable. They're limited.
But you see, Philo, that's business. We're talking business. If someone has a product,
some bit of honesty should
they
be
can't
in there.
tell you because they also want to sell this particular product. So it's up to you to probably do some research and know if I'm going for this product. But if I'm the owner of the shop and I have these products, they also need to be sold out. Now imagine I'm telling you, you know what, these are the fake products, these are the good ones. Now how are you working? So obviously they will not show you that this is fake. They will sweet talk it and you will buy it. So
now,
at the end of the day, they also need sales.
Here's where we come in. When you are a consumer and you realize that you have been, you've fallen in that pitfall where you probably sold to a very fake product at a very high quality and without being informed, you as a consumer, you actually have the right to go and report this, because we need to get rid of all these unnecessary business people who are just very dishonest. And I mean, people are struggling to get that money. By the time I decide to go into the shop and buy this product, it's because I have probably sacrificed something else because I need this. So you today as a consumer, you need to know that you have the right to get the right prices for the right product, and of course high quality products, because everybody deserves to get you know, high quality products. And I mean, when it comes even to consumables, you know, these products or goods that we eat, your health has to come number one. So imagine why you're consuming products that are just not really of high quality. You're probably taking expired drinks, you know, expired medication right there.
You remind me
these
of
are health hazards that you're, you know, exposing yourself to.
You remind me of some of the milk products, some brand here that was selling expired stuff. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is locally manufactured here, and you saw this milk that is expired right from your stores, and you got it out there in supermarkets. Not everyone actually gets to read on the expiry date.
Yes.
So that means you're extending toxins to people. And at that point, I was happy that government came in to interject. But this is something that is happening out there, and as a consumer, I say we just have to be vigilant. Look at the product before you buy it. If there is an expiry date, that is something you should leave on the shelf. So it's going to have to be personal responsibility.
There are two things here to consider. There could be an expired product, but you have a fake and a substandard product. That is why they will tell you that this can perform, but not to those levels. So sometimes a substandard product is very hard to detect by an ordinary person, unless after you've used it doesn't perform to your expectations. For example, phones we have, you can find a Samsung this, Samsung, but then an expert will tell you, let me show you between the original and then maybe the other one. So you'll only find out after having used this product, and when you go back, then they will tell you we cannot make a refund for you. We don't know how the law protects consumers here, but well, that is a topic in our agenda.
Well, as you can clearly see, very many of us are very disgruntled, very many consumers out there. We represent what the biggest percentage of Ugandans think. They feel like they are not happy and they're not satisfied enough with the way they are treated as consumers. Of course, this will be putting it into our poll question much later on, which I will be, reading out loud for you to share your thoughts and views. But for now, it's time for us to take a look at some of the stories that made it to the headlines yesterday. And of course, that is both locally and across the borders. Starting with you, Robert.
And we'll begin with local stories where the commander of the land forces in Uganda, that is Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, is in Kigali on his second visit to the country in a space of 2 months. Muhoozi, who flew to Rwanda aboard a chartered Uganda Airlines Mitsubishi jetliner, was welcomed at Kigali International Airport by Ugandan High Commissioner, staff led by Anne Katsime, and Rwanda's commandment of the Republican Guard, Brigadier General Willy Ragasana. Last month, General Muhoozi intimated that he had plans to travel back to Kigali to sort out outstanding issues between Uganda and Rwanda.
Now we cross over to court, where High Court has dismissed with costs an application filed by City Lawyer Hassan Male Mabirizi's application wanting court to quash orders of having him arrested, which were issued by Justice Musa Sekana for contempt of court order for the second time. Judge Boniface Wamala ruled that the issues raised by the applicant Mabirizi were overtaken by events, since the issues were already determined by Court of Appeal. On 15th of February 2022, head of Civil Division Court Justice Musa Sekana issued orders to arrest city lawyer Hassan Male Mabilizi for contempt of court order when he insulted the person of Justice Musa Sekana. Mabilizi, who has now spent over 20 days in prison, has appealed against this decision, citing that the trial judge Madrama erred in the law. State Attorney Hilary Nathan Ibarra objected to the application, informing court that it was wrongly filed before court. Justice Boniface Wamala has dismissed Hassan Male Mabilizi's application with costs. He also declined to grant Mabilizi's prayer of having him not arrested as per Justice Musa Sekana's orders for contempt of court. After the ruling, Mabilizi intends to appeal against Justice Boniface Wamala's decision as well.
And away from politics or court affairs, we now move to the political party, where Forum for Democratic Change Party proposes that government exempts taxes on some essential commodities like cooking oil, soap and sugar, whose prices have escalated, as one of the measures to ease the situation. While addressing the media during the FDC's weekly press briefing at Nyonyintono Nkumbi, the party's spokesperson Ibrahim Semujunganda said it is not the war of Ukraine and Russia as being said by government, but a problem of high commodity prices has existed for the last 1 month. The opposition Forum for Democratic Change also reacted to escalating commodity prices, which they say has been attributed to a number of factors, with the recent one being high taxation. The spokesperson of the party said towards the end of last year, the price of a litre of fuel was at 3,800 and now it is at 5,000 shillings and has never reduced.
We move over to a police fire report, where the Uganda police has released a report on the ongoing fire outbreaks in schools and other congestion centers. Now, the report by the Directorate of Fire and Rescue Services, AIGP Henry Mugisha, indicates that some schools were burnt deliberately. It's now almost 3 months since the education sector reopened after nearly 2 years of COVID-19 lockdown. But as the education sector reopened, there has been a span of fire outbreaks, mainly in schools of Kampala Metropolitan. The report by the Police Directorate of Fire and Rescue Services indicates that since the school's reopening, at least 18 schools have caught fire, claiming 7 lives, and 75% of these schools are from Kampala Metropolitan. The report has attached fire in the 6 schools as being deliberate, and 2 suspects so far have been arrested in the incident of Good Times Primary School in Kawala, Lubaga Division. By standard, a basic institution must have an enclosure and tight security. Now, the Directorate has reminded school owners to be at key guard its security principles, especially creating a security committee in schools, including students. Climatic conditions have also been highlighted as a major influence in fire incidents. Most of the police recommendations on the fire safety can hardly be attained in the rural setting, and inspection for the observancy is limited, which will continue to be a risk of lives in school communities.
Now, across the borders, former President Barack Obama has tested positive for COVID-19. He tweeted on Sunday. Obama said he's feeling fine, other than a scratchy throat, reminding people to get vaccinated, even as the number of cases in the U.S. goes down. Former First Lady Michelle Obama tested negative, according to his statement. Now, the country's death toll stands at 965,000 lives lost. The U.S. national case total has also surpassed 79.4 million confirmed cases, according to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Department of Health and Human Services. Nationwide, hospitalization rates continue to decline steadily. And on Thursday, for the first time since July, the number of hospitalized COVID-19 positive Americans fell below 30,000, according to federal data. This marks a more than 80% decline in the number of patients requiring care for the virus since the nation's peak, when 160,000 people were hospitalized about 2 months ago. And more updates still coming in from the Russia-Ukraine war. Of course, talks to resume amid fierce attacks. Now, talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials are expected to resume today on Tuesday. And more than 4,000 people were evacuated from frontline Ukrainian cities on Monday, the country's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk says. Now, Vereshchuk accuses Russian forces of firing on civilians in the Kyiv region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has sought to extend martial law in the country for an additional 30 days from March 24th. And the U.S. warns China against coming to Russia's aid in Ukraine. And also a Fox News correspondent has been injured near Kyiv and hospitalized, according to what the network says. And nearly all of the Russian military offensives remain stalled after making little progress over the weekend, says a senior U.S. defense official. And an evacuation convoy of about 160 cars has managed to leave the besieged Ukrainian city of Mariupol, according to authorities. A woman with a placard reading "No war" has appeared behind a newsreader on Russian state-controlled TV. Negotiations between Russian and Ukrainian representatives will resume on Tuesday after a fourth round of talks ends without breakthrough. And Russia continues its bombardment of many Ukrainian cities, with one person killed in a strike on a block of flats in the capital, Kyiv. Russia's defense ministry claims a Ukrainian missile has killed 20 people in the city of Donetsk. Ukraine has blamed Russia for the attack. And back here in Africa, the number of people known to have died in a train crash in the Democratic Republic of Congo has risen to 75. The train derailed and fell into a ditch in the southeastern village of Buyofwe on Thursday. It was a freight service but carried hundreds of stowaways. The Information Ministry said 125 people were also injured when the train derailed because of a sudden track cut. President Felix Tshisekedi, who is in the Belgian capital Brussels for a medical checkup, has condoled the victims. UN-sponsored Radio Okapi reports that among the injured were 4 children whose parents died on spot. The train was made up of 15 wagons, 12 of them empty, the AFP news agency reports, quoting an official from the state railway company. Now, the agency ranked the train accident as the 3rd worst in Africa over the last 10 years.
Women and girls must lead battle against widespread and interlinked climate and environmental crisis. Now, to forge a sustainable future for us all, women and girls must be front and center, leading the way, Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the opening session of the Commission on the Status of Women on Monday. He described the climate and environmental crisis, coupled with the ongoing economic and social fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic, as the defining issues of our time, reminding that our collective response will chart our course for decades to come. Nothing that the unprecedented emergencies of the climate crisis, pollution, desertification and biodiversity loss, coupled with the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact of the new and ongoing conflict, have accelerated and intensified into widespread and interlinked crises that affect us all. He told the Commission at hybrid opening event that the damage would not be melted out equally. Now, everywhere, women and girls face the greatest threat and the deepest harm. And while they are taking action to confront the climate and environmental crisis, they continue to be largely excluded from the rooms where decisions are taken.
Well, as we still move on with Good Morning Uganda, we also are easier to spread the good news about Hallelujah. And over there, of course, Robert is happy and excited to do that.
Well, Philo, one of the things that everyone must prioritize is the right to life. It's not all about peace. It's all about what you give your body. And here I come to you with these 2 bottles. This is Hallelujah Ginger Tea and Hallelujah Tamarind Drink. Now, what these do is they boost your immune system. And all you need is your white blood cells being empowered to fight off a couple of diseases. So at just 1,500, you can get a bottle. And above all, there's a Q mark here, meaning they have been certified by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, they are safe for you to consume.
Well, at least you have nothing to worry about their safety, because indeed they have been certified by UNBS. And yes, getting to the morning poll question today, of course, it is World Consumers' Rights Day, and you as a consumer are a very, very crucial person when it comes to the world of business and, of course, the world of manufacturing goods. Now, this morning, we want to find out from you, do you think Uganda has observed the consumers' rights? Do you think that consumers' rights in Uganda have been observed enough? Of course, you can share your thoughts with us right here on Good Morning Uganda, but you can do that on Twitter, and the hashtag is UBCGMU, and of course you can send us a WhatsApp message or even an SMS text. Definitely we'll be sharing your thoughts, your opinions, your views with the rest of Uganda much later on in the country, and the number is 0709 602 592 0709 602 592. Right about now, we're getting into the song of the day that will inspire you, that will get you out of the bed, get you moving, and make sure that you do what you have to do, because we're still early in the week. And yes, I want to think you still have the energy to make sure that you execute all your duties and responsibilities as you did set out right at the start, which was yesterday. When we get back, it will be more conversation, especially on Good Morning Uganda newsreel. Also then, we'll be taking you to the papers, not forgetting the situation on the road in the traffic updates, of course, from yours truly. And Mollen will be coming in for more updates in the world of climate and, of course, the weather forecast, and also some information quite interesting from the world of sports. Ruben will be here for that, not forgetting the GMU agenda. We'll be back shortly after this break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
how to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Raising Voices.
I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers will like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers. He knows how important it is to be a good father. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising Voices.
There have always been hard times, but these days are harder than most. Everyone is hurting. Everyone needs help. But some among us are asking the question, what if we didn't have to go through life's hardest moments alone? What if we were in it together? And just by asking that question, he changed my son's life. He created an online crowdfunding platform for Ugandans to help raise money for each other.
Thank you, Nixon, for helping me.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's time to learn. Schools are open. As a student, school life is going to be different. You must follow the COVID-19 prevention measures, which include always maintaining a 2-meter distance from others in class, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, regularly washing your hands with soap and water, wearing a washed and clean mask that covers your mouth and nose every day, and encouraging your classmates to do the same. Your teachers will also guide you on how to follow SOPs. Don't engage in violence with other students. Report any cases of abuse by teachers or other children to a senior teacher. Those who don't follow the rules should be immediately reported to a class teacher for correction and further guidance. If you experience flu-like symptoms such as a sore throat, fever, dry cough or body weakness, immediately seek medical attention from the school nurse and inform your class teacher. Whenever you sneeze or cough, please remember to cover your nose and mouth with a bent elbow, tissue or handkerchief. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Six minutes after 7 a.m. right here on Good Morning Uganda, where we're coming to you live from UBC Studios, of course, right here at Nile Avenue. My name is Philomena Mastiko. Thank you for staying with us and, of course, for joining us for this session. I am joined by Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, and, of course, we're here to talk about the topic of discussion for today. But before we get into all that, just a reminder, the poll question this morning, we are still talking about the World Consumers' Rights Day, which is, have consumer rights been observed enough in Uganda? Have consumer rights been observed enough in Uganda? Your response through the hashtag UBCGMU, and of course your text messages, your WhatsApp messages. The number is 0709 602 592. Now, getting back to the topical discussion this morning, Robert, the last couple of days we have been seeing quite a lot of impunity on the roads. We have been seeing statistics that have been coming out show that there is quite an increase in the number of fatalities, in the number of accidents. Just last month, we had a police report that came out to actually talk about the number of accidents that happened in 1 week. That was between February 28th and March 5th, 2022. Now, in that week, there was a total of about 414 accidents which occurred, and 75 were fatal. And also, taking a look at some of the serious ones, those were about 226, and while 113 were minor. But even then, I really dislike using the word minor, because an accident is an accident. I know quite there will be some damage. It will be it could be traumatic. We may not lose lives, but something will happen. It's just not a good experience. Now, as you can see over the years, again, the statistics just keep increasing every single time. And now I really want to find out, what are we not doing right?
Well, Philo, this is a very important and relevant topic to discuss, because many times there are things that happen in this country and maybe we don't give them the attention they deserve.
Yes.
And one person once argued and said maybe because they don't involve big people. Because there was a time when we lost members of parliament. I think they were two in an accident.
Oh, yes.
And the August House talked so much about accidents. We saw the Inspector
Because
General,
we had to...
because one of their own
oh, yes.
had gone in accidents. When we talk about this problem, Ugandans should know that in 2020 alone, we lost 3,600 persons to accidents.
Just in 1 year?
In 1 year. 3,600. And those are the ones that are registered. Because in my village in Kasoga Kakuto, if a car hit someone and died, and the car just, it was a hit and run, then the locals would say he has died of an accident. Yes, get the body, go and bury.
Yes.
That is not captured. But we are here talking about COVID. In a period of 2 years, when did COVID get us to 3,600?
Because we're at home and we had like less motorists. And
even when you look at our statistics, a total of 3,639 people were killed in road accidents in Uganda in 2020. To be more specific, it is 3,633 people died of accidents. Those are fatalities. Now, and still, even when you look at the figures, the figure is an increase from the ones posted in 2018 and 2019, when at least 3,194, that is in 2018, that died in accidents, 3,000, that is 194. And in 2019, we had 3,407. So the figures keep increasing. People are dying, but because maybe they die 3, you only know who have passed away within, maybe on what the media covers.
Yes.
So this is how big the problem is. That you're losing in thousands Ugandans every year. That means we should give it the attention it deserves. Now, what are we not doing right? First is having what we term as accidents, but actually to me when they are not. You know, an accident, I want to borrow the words of once Inspector General of Police.
Yes.
That is General Kale Kaihura. He said, we were at a press conference, and he said an accident should be an act of God. Now believers, don't feel offended.
Yes.
But this is what he was meaning. That when everything was in right order, a person is experienced, qualifies to be on the road.
Yes.
The car is in proper mechanical condition, and maybe a tree suddenly
plants itself in the middle
of the road.
Yes.
Maybe a goat, you know, maybe another car, the tire or the wheel, something like that. But not when you leave home and you're telling even your neighbors, I don't trust these brakes.
My tires are not well balanced.
My tires, yes. Even when I'm driving,
the car is bouncy.
Not when you get behind wheels, like, you know, you people, I'm not fine. If I could, I would not have driven, but I have nothing to do. So where you have many of these acts, 36% of the accidents in Uganda happen because of overspeeding. And why? Because this person left knowing I must be at work at 5:30 in the morning,
yes,
leaves home at 5:30, and wants to be there at 5:30. You get it?
Yes.
Or you're leaving home at 5:30. You want to be at your workstation at 5:30. What happens? You're just going to end up knocking whoever. Second, the DMCs, we have cars in dangerous mechanical conditions.
Yes.
But they're on the roads. Then we also have what we call the element of corruption. That many of these people, instead of being apprehended,
yes,
they just pay off. Sometimes I asked one traffic officer, you give me an express penalty ticket to go and pay. Because maybe this driver doesn't qualify to be on the road. The same man goes to the bank and pays, then comes to the police, shows evidence of payment, picks up the car. Now, what was it?
Because he could still do the same thing that was given an express penalty for. If you've you know, put me on the side because I'm driving very fast, I will go and clear that fee that I'm supposed to pay. But still, I'll get back on the road. That's not a guarantee.
Then of late, there's what we call, I want to call them, I'm looking for a better word, not to sound abusive. I want to be very careful.
Maybe the arrogant drivers?
These people have villagehood in them. And now, where the problem comes, they find themselves proximity to power.
Okay. They exercise a lot of
nature,
impunity on the road.
And by God's grace, they get connected to people in power.
Yes.
So he knows Gambanogu. Yesterday, the Inspector General of Police, Martin Okoth Ochola, issued a directive to arrest one of the characters, to arrest his vehicles.
Yes.
Because he had become a nuisance on roads. These are people who drive in one way. These are people who have sirens.
Yes.
They don't even know when to use them, not to use them. And they have caused a number of accidents. You find a son of Adam and Eve cruising in one way.
Yes.
And even insulting whoever he finds. No number plate, a siren. You find as a daughter of Adam and Eve driving, not caring on whoever is on the road, as long as he's driving. So this daughter of Adam and Eve thinks because he's near, big, you know, and our police, the traffic police sometimes, they don't dare. You look at her, this is public information, I can speak out.
Yes.
Looks at a car, no number plate, then he sees in the screen, see papa. Hey, that one, you can touch it. So, indiscipline on our roads, corruption on our roads, recklessness and carelessness on our roads, and DMCs.
Yes.
And on a lighter note, also have sometimes poor road design. Some of our roads are accident traps.
And I love the fact that you talk about that, which was actually bringing me to the next question. Well, okay, of course, it's an accident. Most of these accidents are because of our own doing. But also, if you look at some sections of the roads, you'll find that some of these roads are narrow. And this is a two-way road, by the way. So there, cars going to two different positions are supposed to be using this road. I mean, by all means, you don't have any other alternative route. This is the ideal route for you that you're supposed to be using. Now, that right there, of course, we have very many road users, different road users for that narrow road. You have a pedestrian, you have a motorist, you have all these large car or large vehicle users. We have, I mean, everybody, cyclists and everyone is on that road. I mean, when you look at a road like that, of course, quite, I would say, accidents are bound to happen. Now, is that the fault of a road user? Could that be the fault of the government? How would we even categorize that? Because these roads are narrow, and some bits of the roads also don't have signage. You know, the road signage is really, it's appalling, I could say.
Even when you have road signage, the challenge is, do Ugandans read this? Because with the coming in of automatic cars.
Yes.
You know, previously when we had manual only, all these automated cars, people would take time. Many would go to driving schools. But now I bet people watching this show, how many of you, to be honest, learned through a driving school? You'd find that maybe if we did a survey, a honest survey, 50%, am I not giving
I think 50%, you may be overstretching it, honestly.
Because with these automatic cars, ladies like Philo, her boyfriend teaches.
Yes.
Her husband teaches.
The husband teaches, the neighbor teaches.
Big brother, you know, this is this, then, yeah, you're good to go. Jimaze or use a motorcar. So, people are now teaching themselves, not through trained instructors.
Yes.
That will give you even, you have to know all the road signs. Now, a person who see a road sign, the Entebbe Express Highway is a very good example. It has signs, though not that good. But you find someone just in front of a road sign is asking, Nzira, tell him, look.
They cannot interpret these roads.
Yes. Read, just notice the direction where you're going. Hey, oh, okay. I've been looking at it. They don't know because they are not written on. They are just signs, a sharp corner, U-turn, you know, a dangerous spot, because most of these roads, yes, but they could be a signpost indicating that in these kilometers, there is a dangerous spot. There is a sharp corner. Reduce speed, do this per hour and all this. Because people didn't get this information, they will just go. So when it comes to road designs, a person who went through a driving school, you have this defensive driving, but you also know that, okay, if this road is narrow, because you did proper driving training, you got the right lessons, you know how to maneuver over such. Whether you know that now it's raining, I must go slow, now it is dark, but you find a person during the day, dim lights, you know, doesn't even know when to use them, know when to use them. So our accidents, and I want to use the word accidents, because when you listen through, you find that we may have maybe only 5% of what we consider as accidents, actually accidents.
Wow. Now let's talk about some of the qualifications that you need to get onto the road to be rendered as a very stable, sober person who should be on the road driving that car or that motorcycle. Of course, we know that in the process of trying to acquire a driving permit, you need to get medical documentation. You need to go over there and go to, you know, test and see if you're actually qualified. Now, you did talk about corruption. Why we find that some people don't even go through all these procedures. The other day, I saw medics that come to talk about that they were meeting parliamentary committee. Of course, they had their own agenda, but one of the things that they highlighted, the Uganda Medical Association, they said, you see, sometimes even when you tell these people to come and get medical checkups, real documentation to present before they get these driving permits, they don't. They'll just come and pay about quite a sum of money that you'll agree upon, and then they get a document. You don't know what's happening. You don't know if this person is even fit to be on the road. Now, gaps like that, honestly, how do we get to fill them up, and in the right way? Because at the end of the day, when you look at it, it still goes all the way to the reasons why we're having all these road carnages.
In the Bible, we say, for all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. Our country, we've reached a point that unless we get divine intervention, and I want to be very open, unless we get divine intervention as a believer to fight corruption, now we need to call upon God. Because you've suffered so much. Let me tell you, it is very easy in Uganda to get a driving permit when you've never gone to any driving school. That we all know. There are people, even when you're moving on the streets, you find them advertising themselves, took for a driving permit, So you give money, you don't go to any institution, they'll just call you, now go sign, get your driving permit. So such a person has nothing, no knowledge. I know of a friend who has a driving permit, but they have never sat behind any car. They don't even know how to drive. But among the documents, and this is common. So, corruption, that's why we call it a cancer. That when you still have institutions that can operate, and they have some individuals, and then we don't have proper punishment, there is no precedent we are setting. So many people will continue to have driving permits when they don't qualify, because we know that is the way to go. Shortcuts have become like shortcuts in Uganda. Ugandans have reached that level that instead of doing the right thing, they rather pay lots of money but dodge the right thing. Remember people who would go to get COVID-19 tests? Someone says, oh, yagale, yagale, okay.
There are variations.
You want which is positive or one which is negative. So you speak which one you want. So where we've gotten to that extent, therefore, you can no longer rely on driving permits. And even one thing that also amuses me, you know, when you're shifting from one class to the other, there are no lessons to test that Philo now I can drive a rolly, but it's about how long you've driven. And this has expired, I'm going to another class. Who says if I've driven a Vitiz for 10 years, I can drive
given
now.
That I can drive a lorry.
I can drive a bigger CC. So I think, to me, issues of ensuring that people fit to be on the road are the ones that are on the road. We cannot handle this to the letter unless we handle corruption as a country wholeheartedly, with determination, without selective justice. And we appreciate that the dangers 3,633 persons that perished in road accidents, it could be that maybe half of this number perished because of people who are not fit to be on the road, but had documentation that states they are fit to be on the road.
Well, now let's talk about some institutions. Now, in the report that I started with at the beginning of this discussion, it's still in the same report. According to the Directorate of Traffic and Road Safety, that is ASP Farida Nampima, he was talking about the region of northern Kampala being the most, being the one with the biggest number of fatalities. But she also did a highlight about these schools, the school vans, all right? Now, of course, we have seen these school institutions. You have a van that is in a good mechanical condition. It has the name of the school. It's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. But we have seen schools that use these saloon cars. You don't even know that this car has pupils or students in it, but they're taking them to school. That right there. First of all, that is wrong. This is not a licensed car to carry pupils. And also, it's overly packed. It has, I don't know how many children. You've seen in the evening
Most
hours.
Of these juniors, the way they are loaded like goats going for.
Honestly, what can we do to curb that? Because it's very, very common. Every single evening, Robert, when I'm heading home, I see these cars, they pass by me because they have to drop off these children in their respective homes. But even then, when you look at the children inside, they look like they are struggling. They're trying to make sure they get where to put the arm, to put the leg. What can we do to honestly get rid of all this? And how are they even able to do this continuously?
First,
are there people who are not doing their jobs? People just see them and just, it's a school. It happens. Have we normalized that?
First, in Uganda, we've normalized a lot of criminality. That is one of the challenges we are facing in our country. That so much that seems wrong is now normal. And actually, if you act normal in a situation of abnormality, then you're seen as abnormal. Because the law enforcers have over time either been demoralized or compromised because of corruption. For school vans, the Ministry of Education and Sports, I want to first commend it. Yes, there are certain areas where they have improved.
Yes.
But when it goes into looking into administration, yesterday we had the spokesperson of the ministry, Dr. Dennis Mujimba, a very honest man. He will tell you that here we failed, here we are doing right. And I think the ministry should now go into, they should find a way as the ministry where they go into even administrative work in some of these schools, most of private schools, because you must understand, education was commercialized in Uganda. Education is now a business. Most of these private schools are not community schools. That Robert Kirabo felt in his community, children are not going to school, so he set up a community school.
Yes.
Most of these are not church or faith-based, that maybe the Muslims felt that they have to set up a school. Most of them are people setting up businesses. And in business, there's what we call commercialization of profits. In business, you look at, maximization of profits. That where I have to use 2 vans, Philo, if I used 1 van, that means I'm adding on my profits. It's all about how do I maximize profits. And now when the regulator seems not bothered, then of course a crafty businessman will use that opportunity. So unless the ministry up their game into administration of these schools, yes, they are private, but they're the ones licensing them. The ministry has over and over issued statements, directives, but unfortunately these have not been followed. Remember during school fees, this, it just becomes a talk. These fire guidelines, it becomes a talk. We need to see the ministry up their game, if it means having laws that can enable them strongly apprehend, punish, or even withdraw license of such schools. That is when we shall see sanity.
Well, everybody needs to be sane, but also everybody needs to do their responsibilities. Accidents are actually not accidents. If you clearly know what you're supposed to be doing on the road, but you decide not to do it anyway, Because at the end of the day, you are going to lose your life, and very many other people are bound to lose their lives courtesy of you. But also just a reminder about the poll question we did ask you earlier on: have consumer rights been observed enough in Uganda? Have consumer rights been observed enough in Uganda? And coming in from Derek is saying, good morning family, I think consumers have been ignored. If prices are hiking minus a sensible and genuine reason, then we, the consumers, feel cheated and disappointed by our government because it is answerable for this inflation, because we pay tax. If they want to bring back the system of direct taxing, well, we need to be told. If a bar of soap is soon reaching 10,000, very soon people with little interest in showering will quit bathrooms.
And most of the men, that is an excuse. Let's be economical.
Well, I don't know if that is from an economic point of view, but yes, keep the feedback coming in.
The more we reduce our expenditure, the more we save. Therefore,
oh well, I will be getting some of your feedback much later on, or even in just a couple of minutes. And right now, we are going to get into the papers and see what's making the headlines. Good morning, Uganda.
It's time to learn. Schools are open. As a student, school life is going to be different. You must follow the COVID-19 prevention measures, which include always maintaining a 2-meter distance from others in class, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, regularly washing your hands with soap and water, wearing a washed and clean mask that covers your mouth and nose every day, and encouraging your classmates to do the same. Your teachers will also guide you on how to follow SOPs. Don't engage in violence with other students. Report any cases of abuse by teachers or other children to a senior teacher. Those who don't follow the rules should be immediately reported to a class teacher for correction and further guidance. If you experience flu-like symptoms such as a sore throat, fever, dry cough or body weakness, immediately seek medical attention from the school nurse and inform your class teacher. Whenever you sneeze or cough, please remember to cover your nose and mouth with a bent elbow, tissue or handkerchief. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Jingati drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, Uganda, once again, and thank you for joining us right here on the News Review, where we take you to some of the headlines that are making it in the print media, taking a look at Daily Monitor and New Vision plus the Daily Nation. But before we get into all that, I would also love to let you know that today at exactly 8 a.m., the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance will be launching a new campaign that is meant to brand Uganda as a BPO innovation and investment destination. And of course, you know that innovation is very important for a country like Uganda, and also investment. Well, UBC TV, as always, of course, will be giving you the live coverage of all the events and anything and everything that will be unfolding right about that time. And that will be happening at exactly 8 a.m. And of course, the venue will be at the Ministry of ICT Innovation Hub in Nakawa. So make sure you don't miss the details. All the industrialists, if you have keen interest in this, well, definitely this is an event you don't want to miss out. It will be happening at 8 a.m. and once again, UBC TV will be giving you the live coverage as it unfolds. Now, taking to the paper this morning, Daily Monitor, 4 in 10 cameras don't actually function. Wow. Quite a blind eye over there. And of course, there are great deals at several tenders. If you are the business person, you need to get your paper and make sure that you get some of these tenders. And U.S. official visits over rights abusers. The detailed story is in there. Now, there's still more statistics over here about these cameras that don't function. You know, the Big Brother watch, the surveillance, the blind spot, highways with cameras, functions of cameras, all that in the Daily Monitor today. And also taking a look at the Prosper pull-out, fintechs or banks, who gets us closer to a cashless future? A discussion that has been in the business world for quite some time now. And moving on to the second page of the Daily Monitor, lawyer Mabirizi loses second bid for his release from prison. And also taking you back in time, today in history, Ugandan named East African speaker. Who is the Ugandan? That is why you need to grab yourself the paper. And of course, also in history, South Africa withdraws from Commonwealth.
Well, we'll cross over to the New Vision, which is right there with a big headline on government cars to be phased out. Now, public officials to get loans for vehicles. Well, there is more on that. And also, you look at General Muhoozi returns to Rwanda. Now, they're aboard Uganda Airlines, second time in a row. You can get more on that story in today's New Vision. Now, also NSSF money, MPs start amendments. Now, looks like world leaders have started process of amending National Social Security Fund Act. Now, that is also within there in the New Vision for today. Multi-drug residents, also TB worries experts. Now, that is also in the New Vision. Museveni hosts Uganda clerics, and that is during prayers at Chisozi in Gombe district. Now, there is more on that story in the New Vision. Now, on to page 2, we look at the growth capital for emerging businesses. Now, opportunities right there, also shown in the New Vision. Efforts to save Lake Kyoga catchment area. Now, 11 people belonging to the Association of Uganda workers under their leader. Also, they are working, especially in a drive to create awareness on the journey. Well, that and more still in the New Vision, but we also look at more the detailed story on government to stop buying vehicles for public servants.
And until the Daily Monitor, sports, Balinya itching to mute doubts because that is in the Uganda Premier League, and Kukundakwe to the joy of 2 at para swimming series. And well, the UEFA Champions League, United call on Ronaldo magic. Of course, Man U hosts Atletico Madrid, hoping talisman Cristiano Ronaldo can just execute one last hunt. And in the second page, well, Ndeja takes big step towards a sports complex. And when it comes to still the FUFA Big League, it's 4 teams affair in this FUFA Big League. And also, Balinya turns cuffs on KCCA. All that in the Daily Monitor Sports.
And of course, back to the New Vision Sports, showing big fan base poses risk. Where and how? That is for the motorists and the motorsport fan base growing each day. And they're saying that this could actually pose a big risk. But, you know, fans will still be there. So get more on that in the New Vision Sports. Yeko is on the verge of signing Adidas deal. Now that is the World University Country cross-country newly crowned champion, Dismas Yeko, right there. They've also shown a picture of him. And Yeko's fortune have taken a sharp rise as he crosses over to Adidas. And on page 2, you also look at Kiplangat on top of things. Well, he's back and looks like the Police Athletics Club Victor has won the prestigious Belgium half marathon, and much more on that prize in the New Vision Sports for today. But also the picture of the week, they show you Peace Kabasweka, who jubilates with the trophy after winning the Entebbe Ladies Golf Open on 5th March. That is also on page 2 of New Vision Sports. Right there, you can grab yourself a copy and get to that. The Ginger Hippos enjoy their game as they fight for top 3. Right there. Also, table tennis now compliant. Now they'll also show you some of the youth that have been engaged with the Uganda table tennis, posing with the president Robert Jagwe. Much more of those in the New Vision Sports for today.
And in the Daily Nation, we took out Kenya Revenue Authority now snooping on businesses. And in the Decision 2022, Ruto's big day. Of course, now this was 2 days after firing a broadside against President Uhuru Kenyatta. Well, more details on that. And Jubilee's U-turn on Raila deputy. And of course, we see quite a whole lot of related as possible Mountain Kenya DP candidates. Well, the political scene in Kenya is getting crazy over there. And in the education section, principal arrested on the very first day of the KCSE. Well, that would mean a very good, a rather bad start for this principal. All this in the Daily Nation on this Tuesday morning. Well, taking you to the roads today, I want to focus on Nakawa division and of course all the areas that surround that. So right from Wegere, Chireka, and as you're crossing into town, Lugogo, all these routes, Mboya, that right there is what I'm going to center my focus on. And again, from the look of things on this Tuesday morning, the traffic may not be different from what I saw yesterday. Of course, yesterday was quite intense considering that it was a Monday and the floods and everything. But also this morning, because of the roads that we're probably focusing on, well, they are very busy roads Monday to Friday. And clearly, the traffic situation is not any different. So if you're coming in from Wegere and you're trying to access the city center, if you're coming in from Chireka and Mgongo, well, this morning I want to tell you that specifically from Wegere, it may be a little bit manageable, and the green routes right here show you that even when you pass using the bypass, it's a clear way for you. However, the problem comes in as you're trying to access Chireka. Now, this does not even matter if you're using the main route or if you're using the shortcuts or the ideal detour that you could take, and that is explained right over here. Now, you know, there is that route where you could use from Boyagere to connect to Chireka over the bypass or even behind the bypass. As you can see right here, it's really bad. The stretch is crazy. It is dominated by red lines and orange lines, and over I have just emphasized that when you see this red line, when you see the orange lines, it shows you that the traffic in this specific area, in this given area, it is heavy or there is a traffic buildup. Now, orange clearly shows or tells you that there is a traffic buildup that is starting. Now, red shows you that the traffic has already been established. Now, that right there is what I will say about this route, Chireka. So if you're accessing Nakawa and you're using Chireka, this right here is a moment of patience where you have to exercise quite a lot of it. And getting back to the main road, if you're coming in from Namugongo Road as you're trying to access Chireka, well, you also need to have an expectation of some crazy traffic right here. As you can see the Chireka taxi stage as you're trying to join the main road. This over here, this red stretch shows you that there is danger. Traffic is really, really heavy. However, all the way from Namugongo, the green stretch is clearly stating that it's, you know, it's nothing to worry about. Again, like I said, the problem comes in when you're joining the main road, which of course you'll find very many other road users who will probably hit the spot quite earlier on. Now, of course, after Chireka, I will tell you that the stretch is manageable because the green stretch there is of it's all right. It's well, you have nothing to worry about. However, another issue comes in as you're accessing Banda, and you see this stretch over here, the red stretch goes all the way. There are no intermediate green spots. There is nothing like green. So this here is quite a danger zone. It is dominated with orange. It is dominated with traffic and the reds, which show you that the traffic is really heavy. So yes, it's not a good look on this road. If you have any other alternative, probably you could use the Chinawataka road to probably dodge all these, to dodge Banda, and by that, when you use the Chinawataka road, of course you will access Nakawa and you will have skipped this traffic over here. Now you get onto Banda taxi stage, which clearly is not really that bad. However, if you're coming in from the other detours, there is some expected traffic because it's a linking point. So yes, you know what happens. Other road users are joining the main road to make sure they get into the city center, and that's where the commotion usually comes in. Of course, now this takes you all the way on the Kampala-Jinja highway, and also people coming in from Chambogo join the main road over here to make sure that they can access Nakawa. The stretch is actually okay. You have really quite nothing to worry about, and you find yourself around Spear Motors, that junction where you have cars coming in from Ntinda, you have cars coming in from Nakawa, and you also, this is also a junction, a linking spot. So cars coming in from this side and this side definitely have to meet here. And again, it's a linking spot. So you know what that means. There's quite some traffic build up over there, but you need to exercise quite some bit of patience, not to be a very reckless road user and not to be a very defensive driver, and also not to have any road rage, because at the end of the day, you know what that causes. So if you're leaving the city center, if you are accessing the city center, it is important that you note some of these spots, because they will quite make a mark on your journey to your destination. They could actually delay you, or they could help you make a decision right about now if you're going to use the shortcuts, and you could start planning your route right in your head before you set out onto the road. Well, that's just it about the traffic updates. But again, I insist, please keep away from having road rage. You need to be sober, you need to be sane, because the statistics don't exactly look good on most of these roads. We are having quite a number of fatalities, we are having minor injuries. At the end of the day, it's just all not a good look. So keep away from the road rage, be a responsible road user, and also understand that you're not the only one using these roads, because we have pedestrians, we have cyclists, we have other, motorists. So you need to be considerate and you need to be very responsible. Well, right about now, I have Mollen over here, who is going to also be giving us more from the world of climates and the weather forecast. How is it looking this morning, Mollen?
Well, Phil, I can tell you it's quite a pleasant morning. Stretching from what we had yesterday, I say it's a good morning. And our takeaway from today is that, weather just changes like that. You would think that maybe just because we had those rains in the morning yesterday, maybe we might continuously have that. But I can tell you it's quite a clear morning for Uganda right now.
Honestly, I could use some good news as early as I am right about now. Well, I will leave you, Mollen, to it. I am Philomena Mastiko, and have a great morning. Don't forget that we'll be giving you live coverage of the launch of Ministry of ICT Uganda as an investment and an investment destination that will be happening at exactly 8 a.m. And of course, like any normal Ugandan, any responsible Ugandan, this is important for you to know. So make sure you don't go anywhere. Other than that, have a great and wonderful Tuesday morning. I am Philomena Mastiko.
Well, thank you very much, Philo. Now, while we're celebrating to say this is good news for us this morning, to start up with quite some pleasant weather, well, it's not good news and across southern USA. Now, if you have studied geography or history, you know that this is the part of the USA that is, widely known as one of the greatest, the biggest wheat growers across the world. And they have provided most of the wheat products from across not just the USA, but even to the rest of us. And now this is being threatened by a prolonged drought that has been over there for quite some time, where now reports that are coming in are showing that wheat growers across the southern east part of USA are actually worried because this could, influence and affect their produce for this month and also the coming month when they are looking at harvesting. Now, what this means is that this could actually take a toll on the wheat production over the USA, and that means that majorly it will also be affecting some of us that actually get products from there. Now, that picture there shows one of the plantations, the farms or across the southeastern parts of USA that are being threatened, because now you look into the fact that once you have that consistent dry weather, it's going to affect the harvesting period of wheat. And it's sad to say that this has all been related to the climate crisis going on across the world. Looking into for the longest period of time, there hasn't been an issue with wheat growing across this particular part of USA, but now it has gone to a month with prolonged drought, and that means that this could really be a huge threat to wheat growers across southern USA. And this is making highlights to make sure that it also reminds us that there is need to take action and avoid much more of this, because if this is something that is threatening one of top wheat growers in the region or in the world, then it can only mean that we have much more of those being threatened. Now, just recently we also saw a report of prolonged drought threatening cocoa growing that is across West Africa. So it looks like most of the top growers across the world are being threatened by climate crisis, looking at most especially extreme events with prolonged drought. So that is where we pose the question, how much can we act and who is responsible? Now, talking about who is responsible, this morning I analyzed the story about one of the world's top oil companies, and that is Shell. Now, the picture that you see there is from Nigeria, one of the areas where there was an oil spill, and this is blamed on Shell. Now, they are taking Shell to court, and actually they have taken Shell to court, and the judge has ruled that Shell should pay close to $2 billion to Nigeria before they're selling their assets. Now, it is said that they're also selling assets in Nigeria. The top oil company in Nigeria has been sued, especially for oil spills. It's not their first time. That means that there has been consistency with oil spills over this area. Now, this poses a great danger into the environment, which is why the Nigerian government is saying, no, you guys cannot get away with it. As Shell, you have to pay for your damages, and which they are also rejecting, because now they have also filed a complaint and an appeal to this kind of, court order, which means that they are rejecting what has been, granted by court. But this is an issue that is just, obvious. You make oil spills, that means you don't have strategies of managing your oil across the country, and you're posing a danger to the environment. Now, as if that's not enough, they are also being sued by Climate Earth. Now, what Climate Earth is claiming is that they do not have a climate strategic plan on how they're going to curb their greenhouse gases. Now, this is just it's not their first rodeo. Shell has been sued over time for lacking climate strategic plans to make sure that they are transitioning into a low carbon future. Now, once such a big company lacks, that climate transition plan, it can only mean that whatever they are doing even right now poses a huge threat to the environment, and henceforth creating, that kind of climate crisis. Now, for me, it bothers me how, with such resources that they have been unable to make sure that they have that kind of roadmap to keep their low the carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions to a low level, because it looks like they are just going to be continuing. Now, Climate Earth is mostly majorly in the US, and they are considering this lawsuit. It could be the first one really to this extent, because they have gathered all evidence from even all the countries that have been suing Shell, but somehow as a big company they get away with it. And now hailing from what just happened in Nigeria, a court already ordered them to pay the 2 billion US dollars. So that means that with all this that is accumulating, Climate Earth is actually putting on, a good case. And I say the directors of Shell should be worried internationally, because it looks like they could be facing one of the major lawsuits they have ever faced. Because these guys are going to come in with all they have gathered, and especially right now, because Shell was among the companies that put an accord to their signature on the Glasgow Pact that we just came through, that is in November across the UK. So now all the strategies that were laid out by the Glasgow Pact to be followed by all companies, it looks like Shell is already bridging those, which is why Climate Earth is saying you guys are not taking this serious, and obviously you're not having plans on how you're transitioning into a low carbon future. So meaning that you need to answer for that, which is why they're being taken to court. And for me, I say this is a good move, because we have seen their sister companies do it. Total Energies is one of the companies that did come through even after the Glasgow Pact to make at least their transitional plan. Now, the issue would be on how they're implementing it, or how they're going to follow up with it, or even make commitments, but at least it is there. Now, which is why Shell is doing injustice to the environment and could exaggerate what we're really seeing as a climate emergency, and these guys really have to, answer to some of the things they're doing. Now, that has also prompted a lot of strikes across the world, and also movements, most of the climate movements that are coming across to, talk about the negotiations that did go through across the UK. And one of those, the Climate Corps. Now, Climate Corps are also, youth movement, but also having mostly environmentalists that do make drives on what is happening across the world. Now, they took it to the streets, and that is not just the UK, but also the US and across Australia. Now, there are also what you would call a movement like Fridays for the Future. They do have sister, organizations in each country. Now, they are saying that we need to pass a bold civilian Climate Corps. Biden pointed out for most of the movements that he has been doing, especially for climate action, for the water that we drink, for the people we love. Our future is not negotiable. That's the big post that they are leading with. Now, while we made negotiations in UK, it looks like it's not being implemented, and the youth are taking it upon themselves to actually take these strikes on streets. Just last week, we also saw Fridays for the Future taking it to the streets, even here in Uganda, making sure that the leaders can hear them and commit to what they decided to do in Glasgow. Because as months go through and they're not doing anything, then that means that our negotiations did not even yield, which is why they're saying this is their future that we are playing with, and it's non-negotiable. So I say it's a good movement. But also, I did pick out a picture for you this morning. I don't want to always carry the bad and worrying news, but what can be done? Now, what we do have here is how you can recycle indoor seedlings, and I'm giving you more of the green ideas that come through as we talk about, having climate action and protecting our planet. We need to look at the best ways to recycle and the ideas that you can have. Now, if you are a lover of plants or flowers across your home, some of the ideas that I have for you is you could use newspaper that is being wrapped around a particular plant, and this will be good for you. Just make sure you have enough newspaper, you put the soil in, make sure you water a plant so well, and that will be also good. Now, some of those ideas also extend to the bags, the paper bags. You have seen mostly some of the markets are trying to move away from the polythene bag to use of paper bags. Now, they can also be used to have flowers across your home or even in your garden. That is one way to also use that. Now, if you also look at the rolls within the paper towels, those big rolls in paper towels, these can also be used to grow seedlings across your home, and these are really the good ones that you can consider. At the same time, we're protecting the environment, because these are reusable, and that means that you can actually have them easily at your home. You look at places like the egg cartons. you can use those to grow a few plants around your home. These are sustainable and good for the environment, instead of you having, you know, a polythene bag, because that's what most people have been using. If you have moved across the roads, you'll see that on the roadsides, people who are growing these seedlings are using paper bags. Are using polythene bags. So we're saying use some of the things that are sustainable and green to make sure that we move away from the crisis that we talk about every day. The eggshell is one of those. You could consider growing the small seedlings like carrots. I would suggest carrots for the eggshell. This will really do wonders. And if you're a lover of yogurt, most of those containers are left home, and you throw them. But the best way to recycle them is also put it to use, and you could grow some of the seedlings within across your home, and make sure you have a green home. I mean, what a better way to emphasize on a green environment for yourself, but also as you protect the world. We don't want to be talking about a crisis every day, yet we do have sustainable ways of making it to more cleaner environment. Now, away from that, I want to take you through some of the satellite data that is coming through across Uganda. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we did start off with mostly clear weather. It looks like most areas will be having intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, but we'll go ahead and take a look into our forecast that is coming in this morning from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority to look into the weather that is expected across different areas within the country. We start off with the eastern part of Lake Victoria, where we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with a warm 28 degrees centigrade, and that will continue into the afternoon. Eastern Uganda starting off with quite a pretty sunny morning, starting off with a warm 31 degrees centigrade. Now that is quite warm over there, and as we head into the afternoon, that will only get hotter, so that is one to prepare for. Now the eastern part of Central, where we have Ruwero, Woblenzi, Bururi, Nakaseke, Nakasongola as well in that category, we are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with a hot 30 as well, but later in the afternoon we could be looking at a little bit of rains over that area. Central northern Uganda, we have a Jumani, Kitgum, Padel. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, and also starting off with a warm 30 degrees centigrade. Also later in the afternoon, that area might still maintain sunny conditions. Now back here, central parts of Lake Victoria Basin, Entebbe, Wakiso, Kampala and Mukono, we're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, also starting off with quite a warm 27, but later in the afternoon this area is expected to have a little bit of rains. You can look out for those, and that will be for areas especially around Lake Victoria. The western part of Lake Victoria, Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembabule, Rakai, we are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine as well, starting off with a warm 28, but also that area will be developing into light rains that will be later in the evening, so that is one to look out for as well. Well, we look at southwestern Uganda, where we have Mbarara, Ibanda, Bushenyi and Rubirizi. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with quite a warm 28 degrees centigrade, but that area is also likely to have rainy conditions later as the day progresses. Mount Elgon Highlands, Mbale, Bududa, Buko and Sironko, we're forecasting sunny intervals across that area, starting off with 27, quite a pleasant morning, but also most likely that will be maintained into the afternoon, so it will only be getting hotter. We could be looking at the lower 30s across Mount Elgon Highlands later as the day continues. Well, it looks like we've had quite a reduction in wet weather conditions from the stretch we had yesterday, and that is mostly also attributed to the continuous low pressure systems that continue to build over the Indian Ocean, and that is really affecting our rains. And as we look into the beginning of the rainy season, it looks like these are really going to be more intercepting. We're looking at much more of those low pressure systems continuing to build, and I would easily say that this is also linked to the climate variations that we have, because if you look at the frequency at which most of these low pressure systems are developing over the Indian Ocean, it's much more in this the last 2 decades, and it's only getting worse. And the more those continue to build there, the more they also interact with our rainy seasons. So this is where you start to see rainy seasons that used to have a lot of rains and now reducing. They are cut short, the onsets are delayed, and that is how we get there, which is why I continuously talk about climate change and urge you to take action, because we want to avoid such issues. because while you think it is far away from you, it's actually affecting what you have. It's affecting your planting season, it's affecting your harvests, and that is how we are going to get ourselves into a major crisis that it will be too late to actually avert. But well, I will leave you at that. We do have that live event that will be coming through. We're trying, and we're saying this time, let's show the world that we are, a world's innovation powerhouse. And I can't wait for that. Ministry of ICT has actually made a good initiative to show innovations in Uganda, and I think that's a good challenge that we are posing across Africa. So do look out for that and discover Africa's innovation. It will be live on UBC, and we'll be showing you much more of that here on UBC, obviously. That is Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, calling you upon to, stick on TV and also watch that. You can also be, if you're living home, you can catch us online. UBC is live on YouTube, that is UBC Television Uganda, but also through our social media platforms, and that is Twitter at UBC TV Uganda. Just look out and you'll be having much more of that. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I want to wish you a good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's time to learn. Schools are open. As a student, school life is going to be different. You must follow the COVID-19 prevention measures, which include always maintaining a 2-meter distance from others in class, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, regularly washing your hands with soap and water, wearing a washed and clean mask that covers your mouth and nose every day, and encouraging your classmates to do the same. Your teachers will also guide you on how to follow SOPs. Don't engage in violence with other students. Report any cases of abuse by teachers or other children to a senior teacher. Those who don't follow the rules should be immediately reported to a class teacher for correction and further guidance. If you experience flu-like symptoms such as a sore throat, fever, dry cough or body weakness, immediately seek medical attention from the school nurse and inform your class teacher. Whenever you sneeze or cough, please remember to cover your nose and mouth with a bent elbow, tissue or handkerchief. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN. Your MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily bundle of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 30 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 80 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 180 MBs. Dial *150 *10 hash or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN.
MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co Uganda, Office of the President.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Where we have